Good morning, everybody. It's 9 o'clock, so we'll get this meeting started. Welcome to the BOCC meeting for December 6th. Would you all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Gentlemen, the first thing we have are our minutes from our last meeting. Do you have any additions or corrections?
I do not.
Okay.
I move we approve the minutes for the Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, for November 29th, 2022, and a special meeting on November 30th, 2022, as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, for November 29th, 2022, and also a special meeting for November 30th, 2022. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And next, we have planning. Mr. Haley, we have a public hearing, so we will have to read this, and then at the request, then we'll have to reschedule it at that point.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Would you call the roll, please, Ken?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a general planned unit development, special use permit, and rezoning application submitted by Jeremy and Rebecca Gardner on property located at 27256 Road P, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 6.60 acres more or less, located south of Road P, east of Highway 145, situated in Section 6, Township 36 North, Range 15 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, December 6, 2022 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com, public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 20th day of October, 2022, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. Published in the Journal on Wednesday, November 16th, 2022.
All right. Thank you, Kim.
So the applicants have requested that this be rescheduled to January 31st, and that would be at 9 a.m.
Okay.
They have not sent out the packets or posted the signs since they requested that prior to that information going out. It was posted in the paper. So if we could have a motion to continue it, they will send out the packets and post a sign according to the public notice days requirements.
Okay.
And so, Don, when they post those public notices in that sign, my suggestion would be that they post the date of the new hearing on the
Correct,
31st. Yeah, just to be
The
sure.
packet and the
Yeah.
sign will reflect that.
Okay, great.
Correct.
I figured, but just to be sure.
Right.
So,
I would so move that we continue the general planned unit development and special use permit and rezoning applications submitted by Jeremy and Rebecca Gardner on property located at 27256 Road P, Dolores, continued to January 31st of 2023.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to continue a general planned unit development, special use permit, and rezoning application submitted by Jeremy and Rebecca Gardner on property located at 27256 Road P, Dolores, Colorado. The date to continuation would be 1/31 of 2023. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have another public hearing. So Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
And Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for a review and determination of a proposed 5-lot moderate subdivision and rezoning application submitted by Mark Lowe Investments, LLC, on property located at To Be Determined Road 32, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 35.23 acres more or less, located south of Road P, east of Road 32, situated in Section 1, Township 36 North, Range 15 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, December 6, 2022, at 9 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated the 17th day of November, 2022, Kim Purcell Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, November 23rd, 2022.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Do we have the applicant?
Mark, would you come up? Mr. Lau is here as the applicant. So he is proposing a 5-lot subdivision on his property at the corner of Road P and Road 32. He is currently got a water tap, a driveway in at the proposed Lot 3 for his own residence. The gap between Lot 3 and Lot 4 is, there's a easement there for a water line, an irrigation line, and so that has been left open. And then between Lot 1 and Lot 2 is the proposed 60-foot access for Lot 5, which is to remain ag at this point. But that gives access there, and then Lots 1 and 2 could access off of that drive or directly off of 32. He'd have to work with Road and Bridge and see what works best there, but it's a pretty straight shot on that road. I believe there's already an ag access at that location, but it would just be updated if it's to be used to access the residences.
Okay. Would you like to add anything, Mr. Law?
Yeah, I think I'm all set with the road accesses to each of those lots. I've talked to Rob down at Road and Bridge, and I've got preliminary approval for the electric available and the water is available. I haven't paid for those for the water yet, but I believe it's available.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, do you have any questions at this point in time?
No, he answered a couple of my questions, so that's.
Okay. Well, then, I will open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name, address for the record, and you may address the board at this time. Okay. Seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment. And I will bring it back to the commissioners. Commissioners.
Are these structures to the south there where that jog is that?
The purpose for that jog is that in order to make, that lot used to be 176-acre lot, and in order to there's a pond down there in the southeast. In order not to split that pond in half, we just kind of made a little jog here. So
Okay, but there's no, that's not actually a structure there close to the line or anything?
There is some old outbuildings and stuff, but they all remain on that southern portion that I do not own. So we thought leaving all of those old ranch buildings in that pond, all on that southern parcel would be better.
Okay. Okay.
recommendation from P and Z?
They were unanimous to recommend it for approval.
Okay, so it meets all the requirements.
Correct.
All
When,
right.
when was that lot initially split? You said it was originally a 70-acre lot, and then it was split down?
It was split this spring outside of our office. They're both
Okay,
35-plus
gotcha,
acre
gotcha.
parcels.
And is there any issue with any setback requirements on that southern, with those outbuildings and structures there?
No, part of those, the one that was closest, I think, was torn down or burned up or moved, but the more visible one there that runs north and south, has enough setback.
Okay. Then as far as the zoning in that area, I do see that there's one 3 through 9, and then there's some other 3 through 9 in the region. So, Don, in your opinion, it's fairly consistent in terms of the zoning change. I mean, there are some
Right.
other
So
AR 3 through 9s there.
the lots 1 through 4 would be AR 3 to 9, and then lot 5 would be 10 to 34.
I think the important thing for you guys' purposes is, again, the zoning's not, it's not
Yeah.
an anomaly.
It's
There's other
consistent.
AR 3 through 9s in there.
Yeah, it's all still going to be AR, it's just a matter of the acreage.
Okay.
I don't have any problem.
Okay, I'm good.
I move we approve this proposed 5-lot moderate subdivision and rezoning application submitted by Mark Lowe Investments on property located to be determined Road 32, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 35.23 acres.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed 5-lot moderate subdivision and rezoning application submitted by Mark Lowe Investments LLC on property located at to be determined Road 32, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 35.23 acres more or less. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll close this public hearing. There
Thank
you
you.
go, sir. You are good to go. Thank you.
Okay. We'll need your sign back, too. All right, fair enough, thanks.
Thank you.
Yep. All right.
I do have a Mylar to be signed for Wes and Rebecca Jones out on Road 26 that was previously approved,
Okay.
and that's it.
All right. Well,
That's all I've got.
okay.
Travis, you might need to buy some more 9-volt batteries. These are all starting to turn orange.
9 volts or double A?
These are 9-volt.
9 volts. One more collection.
I'm gonna
Yep.
open an in-house battery store.
That's right. Get some Tesla batteries for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
All right,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is the public comment session. The Board of Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Person speaking during the public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all the members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time to others. And with that, the public comment session is open.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Lynch. My address is 21730 Road S. On November 30th, the Secretary of State announced a recount for Colorado's U.S. House District 3. According to Colorado Statute 1-10.5-101.1b, a mandatory recount is required. Secretary Griswold states, quote, "Counties will work with their bipartisan canvass boards to complete a logic and accuracy test, LAT, on the required tabulation equipment. What she does not acknowledge is a requirement by state law on the correct procedure for conducting the test of the tabulation machines. The law explicitly states that the recount be conducted per Colorado Statute 1-10.5-102.3 A and B, not an LAT or simple rescan of the ballots. The law prescribes the use of voter-verified paper ballots to be used and not randomly filled out test ballots as in an LAT. Statute 1-10.5-102.3A states, quote, "The canvass board shall use the voting devices it has selected to conduct a comparison of the machine count of the ballots counted on each such voting device for the candidate race, ballot issue, or ballot question to the corresponding manual count of the voter-verified paper records," unquote. Statute 1-10.5-102.3b goes on to state, quote, "If the results of the comparison of the machine count and the manual count in accordance with the requirements of subsection 3A of this section are not identical, the voter-verified paper records will be used for a final determination." Quote, "Nowhere in statute, which overrides election rule, is it stated that test ballots, i.e. the LAT, is to be used as a method of testing instead of the prescribed lawful use of the voter's paper ballot. The law is clear. Criminal liability of each and every clerk in Colorado will be incurred if they follow the Secretary of State and Dominion's directive in lieu of the law." So my question to the board is our county clerk following the letter of the law for this recount, or is she following the letter of instruction given to all counties by our Secretary of State? If she's following the instructions of the Secretary of State, then she and you could be incurring criminal liability. Furthermore, this could be an example of the consequences of our Board of County Commissioners delegating their authority to assure free and fair elections to our county clerk, who further delegates her authority to blindly follow instructions of our Secretary of State, who has a documented history of not following Colorado law or federal law. Gentlemen, I feel it's time for you to stop delegating your authority over elections in our county and start taking a keen interest and a 100% active hands-on commitment in assuring free and fair elections in our county. It's time, I believe, that you stand in the gap and apply the doctrine of the lesser magistrates. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, with that, I'll close the public comment session of this meeting, and we will go to county operations. And first on our agenda, we have our CSU extension, Emily Lockhart, along with Eric McPhail, right? I remember that from this summer. We have another commissioner named McFall, and he's a hoot, so. McPhail, I don't know, McFall.
Maybe I'm a hoot too,
McPhail.
I don't know.
Well, we're gonna find out. All right, anyway,
Yeah, well, thank you all, and thank you, Eric, for coming down here. So we had a meeting yesterday that Eric was here for, where a bunch of us from the, what we call the San Juan Basin Extension folks and some other folks got together. And so Eric was here for that, so it worked well for him to come say hello to you all today. So Eric, I don't know, do you want to?
Yeah, I can introduce myself. And I do remember a couple of the faces from the CCI district
Yeah.
meeting that we had in the Western region. And so glad I could at least come and meet with you guys face to face and just say hi. I'm kind of new at my position as the regional director. Been here for a couple of months. Prior to that, a little bit about my background is I grew up on a farm and ranch in Texas. Have an animal science background, nutrition background, mainly beef cattle. But our family operation in Texas was mainly large cattle operation, way too many horses, a lot of farming, and even pecan trees, about all things. But with that, the last 16 years, I've been in Gunnison County as overseeing that extension office in Gunnison County. So the 4-H program and ag programs, and then also the county director there. So with that, moving into this position, I've really been trying to get around and see all the counties and introduce myself. So I know where we're at now going forward with Montezuma County is that, you know, we've got some capacity that we're trying to fill and get the programs back up to speed. And so right now it seems like it's me and Emily, and we're hopeful to get you guys a 4-H agent pretty quick that I can also help and mentor with getting them up to speed on the 4-H program and youth development program. So, but also, you know, open to you guys, always contacting me, always having my cell phone number, email, whenever you guys need anything as well. So that primarily, yeah. So I don't know if you guys have questions for me or let Emily.
I really don't have any questions. I mean, obviously, like, you know, we got to talk a little bit this summer.
Yeah.
So
And I'll also get to talk to you guys. I don't know if any of you are going to the winter meeting over in next week, but we're going to talk a little bit about extension. I'm even going to present to the Western region on some virtual fencing stuff, I think. So I'll get another opportunity to actually shake your hands and meet with you personally.
All right.
there if we can.
Well, that's just around the corner.
Yeah, it's next
So,
week. Yeah,
next
it's coming
week.
up quick. So,
I don't have anything right now for you at all, Eric. Thank you for coming down and at least coming in to say hi.
you bet.
Yep.
Well, the rest of the day, I think Emily and I are going to also kind of just be going over a lot of things for the office here. So
Good.
Yeah, well, and I know Eric from when I worked as an agent in Pueblo County, so, like
Well, I
it's
can
like-
speak to that Emily, you guys have a very good director here in this office right now, and I'm excited to work with Emily in the future that she can help lead the office too, so.
Very
Well,
good.
Yeah, and I pester Eric constantly with questions about logistics of our office and getting our office up to speed on some things. So it's great to have that support from Eric, because it's been a little, you know, there's been a lot of changes in the Western region. So yeah, but I guess going forward with filling that 4-H position, so we have some scheduling issues, but we're looking at, and Commissioner Copenhaver, I left you a voicemail, but so we were wondering if you were available on next Monday. We might have to do 2 separate times that we're meeting with those candidates. So I can talk to you later about that, or now, I don't know.
Next Monday is CCI, like you're talking next Monday?
Mm-hmm, yeah,
We'll all be gone.
okay.
So,
I mean, I could probably do something by Zoom, but
Okay. Okay. Well, why don't we connect? I don't know. The other option is Travis. I don't know if you are available. Just like
Travis will be gone. We'll all
you'll all be gone. Okay.
So
Okay.
the 12th, if you're talking the 12th,
Yeah.
12th is when we're all, is the
Okay.
CCI winter conference.
Okay. Well, I guess if something would work on Zoom, possibly on the 12th, maybe we can.
I can probably do something on Zoom,
Okay.
because we'll be at those meetings, but I can probably do something on Zoom.
Okay.
If that, if that's the only time we can make that work, I'll make something work.
Okay, I appreciate it. It's applicants who, are teachers, and then they're not allowed to take time off really close to when their vacation starts, and so then we're getting into some issues to be able to interview them before the holidays. So we're in an attempt to get it done before the holidays, trying to squeeze that in. So we can connect more, but I feel like and I don't know if I connected with you guys since we've had those applicants. I feel like we have some really good applicants that we're able to move forward with interviews on, and so I think we're pretty hopeful.
How
on
many
that.
do we have?
There were 5 qualified applicants.
Oh, good.
So, and I think I'm at liberty to say how many people we're interviewing. Okay. Hiring rules. So we'll be interviewing 2 people, but we, still have a pool of other people that I'm pretty hopeful out of those 2. I think we have some really good candidates. So, yeah.
All right.
In that meeting on the 12th, if it is a Zoom, it should only be an hour or 1 hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we'll have I think we're going to do just the presentation have the candidate do a presentation, and then we have the local committee and then the state committee kind of visit about things. But that Thursday, I think, might be a little bit longer when we really need to visit more after seeing both the candidates. So, yeah. So, that is that update. I know I gave you guys a few things. Another thing that I don't know if you have the advisory committee, that resolution. So we had been talking about kind of updating or solidifying, the terms related to our advisory committee. And so I found this document from 2017 that was a resolution from the commissioners at that time that kind of outlines how they wanted the advisory committee to be organized. And so, Ian, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that compared to, we had talked about maybe making bylaws, or it outlines the terms of the different committee members. So right now we have about 6 members. Nobody has a term. We kind of have a president. So what I'm thinking is that I would request all of them, as this document says, that they would write a letter saying that they want to be on the advisory committee, and then I would bring that to you all, and then you would approve that in some way. Is that how that would work? But they don't need to come. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
way that it's outlined here.
Okay. So, and then I have another community member who's interested, a new member who's interested in being on the advisory committee. So I could bring all those letters at the same time. My question is, I can assign terms or ask them what they're open to. I don't know if there's another suggestion for how to assign terms to folks. 'Cause-
I think in their letter, ask them to put what they are willing to serve for, so
Okay.
that way we know, because we've been trying to update all of these committees.
Yeah.
And we've been discussing it now for the last several months.
Yeah.
And obviously, we understand that this one is outdated.
Yeah. Okay.
So, we will stagger them.
And
But if they're a 2-year or a 4-year, or, that would be helpful for us, and then we can move forward, because I think there's really only one person on there right now that's actually even, if my memory serves me correctly, or maybe there's none.
I think that person's term ends at the end of this year.
At the end of this year, so yeah, there's probably none right now. Or
Okay.
very soon.
yeah, and this document gives advice for staggering those positions. So I'll ask them to indicate what they'd like to serve for. The other thing that this document states is to have one of the commissioners or the county administrator attend meetings. So I don't know if you guys want one official person, you guys want to rotate, or how you all would like that to be done.
Well, in the past, I can tell you that it's always been the administrator, but that's a conversation that we need to have with Travis also, so, and we'll make that determination at that
Okay.
point in time, but in the past, it was always the administrator, just so that we didn't get, because when something else a decision has to be made, then then it was better for us to stay
Okay.
outside of it.
Okay, well, I can just keep you all in the loop when we have our next meeting, so that should be, I'd like to have it when we have that 4-H agent in place, so maybe end of January, maybe, towards the beginning of February, but I'll reach out to you all so that Travis, or if one of the commissioners, whatever you guys decide, that you all can attend that meeting.
So, who do you have right now? I mean, I'm looking at the list. Who do you have on there now? Are all of these people interested?
Is that the list that I gave Kim?
The one that I have is David Temple, Mr. Barada, Bain, Oliver, and Wilson.
I don't know about, is that Taylor, Oliver? I don't know if they're interested, but I believe everybody else is interested. We also have, and this document also talks about it, so the 4-H president, so a 4-H member, so they're kind of just a automatic member of this advisory committee, so that's Akima Kane. She'll be on that. And then I have, I think that is it. So then I have another community member who's interested, but I think we need some more people on our commission, or on our advisory committee. I think that says up to 12 people, which is a pretty big advisory committee. I don't know if we can get up to there, but I think right now we're at like 4 or 5, so we could add a few. But I haven't confirmed with them all that they'd be interested in writing this letter. No one has indicated that they do not want to serve again, so I'll see if they are willing to write that letter and cross that bridge.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay, so that kind of takes care of that. Then I just had some other programming updates of some things that we have going on. So I'll be hosting this Annie's project in January. So I had a stakeholder meeting with a great group of women who were pretty excited about this meeting. And so this is for risk management related to agricultural businesses, and it's really focused towards women. And so we have a lot of different topics that we'll talk about, from insurance, soils, stress management on the farm, interpreting financial documents. So there's a lot of information on it. So it'll be a three-day meeting. I have some sponsors for it already. So actually from the last commissioner meeting, the Lore Foundation reached out to me, and they wanted to meet with me, and they were like, we would like to, sponsor some of your programming. And so that was pretty slick. I've never had that happen as a result of a commissioner meeting before. So they in addition to American Ag Credit, are current sponsors of this one. So, and what else do we have here? Oh, I worked with the Rocky Mountain Seed Alliance. So this was when I was at the research center. We did some grain trials with Heritage Grains, and we get questions about this. There's some producers in the area who are doing this successfully, but there's still a lot to learn about heritage grains. And so Rocky Mountain Seed Alliance, they were doing some pretty small trials on heritage grains, and we were able to do a little bit larger trials working with some researchers in New Mexico as well. And then they worked with some farmers throughout the West on smaller plot trials, as well as some bakers just looking at the viability of growing heritage grains. And I also worked with Jenny Byerman, who's our ag business specialist based in Grand Junction with Extension, on working on an enterprise budget for heritage grains. And we interviewed a few farmers, 3 different farmers, and the financials of it is a lot like a lot of other types of farming, where low costs and high prices for your product make it profitable. And when those things don't connect, then it still can be difficult to make this a profitable enterprise. But Yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to mention that this handbook is out. It was part of a Western SARE, which is a grant program for sustainable research. And so we just put this handbook out. Okay. And I
So
think,
I have a question
sure,
on
yeah.
that. So does it talk about the size of acreage that you need to have a productive farm, or is it just specifically the crops on the size of the farm? Because obviously there has to be, with volume, it makes it easier. So I don't know that.
yeah,
Because we have a lot of small farms in our area. They're not real big. They're nothing.
yeah.
Um,
And that would be, yeah, calculated on a per acre basis. So you could be even on like 1/8 of an acre and be profitable, but does that mean that you can make a living off of that?
right.
You know, then you might have to say, okay, well, if I'm profitable, but I only made $25 on 1 acre, well, that means, you know, I need a few more acres. Or if I'm like, oh, I made $3,000 on this 1 acre, okay, now, you know, what could I size up to?
Gotcha.
Yeah. And part of this, I've had some vegetable growers who are interested in growing grains on a really small scale so that then they would say sell grain in like 1-pound bags at a farmer's market. So is the amount of labor worth it for doing something like that? And there's some worksheets at the end of that book that would help them make some of those calculations. They can also reach out to me and I can help them with those calculations too. So, yeah. Then this is for a grazing workshop that another colleague, Retta Bruger, who's the Western Extension Range Management Specialist, and I are working with the Mountain Ute Farm and Ranch folks on a grazing management workshop. And I applied for, so this Western SARE is a Western Sustainable Ag Research and Education grant, and we have funds that are based at CSU for these smaller amounts of funds, so this is up to $5,000. So I applied for one of those, and so we have $5,000 to put on this workshop with Farm and Ranch. So we'll be doing that on January 12th. We're inviting some speakers in, so that's what a lot of the money is for bringing in speakers to discuss grazing management. So we'll have more details coming out as we confirm some different speakers. Okay, and here's the big one. So 4-H enrollment is currently open, and so we are encouraging folks who are previously in 4-H. The re-enrollment deadline is December 31st, and so kiddos who have been previously in 4-H, they really have to hit that deadline to be able to, successfully complete their projects. But anyone who is new to 4-H can enroll at any time, but they still have to enroll and participate in things with certain times. So say like they want to raise a steer. Well, they got to enroll by and have their animal by the same deadlines as everybody else needs. So the earlier someone can enroll, the better for that program. But that is what we're sharing out to get our 4-H signups.
What are the enrollment fees?
Those are very good questions. So I don't know if I could recite that off the top of my head, but I think it's like $25 for the first kid and like $10 for next ones. Then we have like some shooting sports fees that I have recently learned only apply to like archery versus then like shotgun, because then they don't use the facilities at the fairground. And then there's some fees for horse, like arena fees. I think it's like $45 for a family. So, yeah, if you want more information, I can get you that. Were you just curious?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds like you need a menu.
You do need a menu, so I apologize. I'm sure our new 4-H agent will be able to answer that more clearly.
Good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can call in Sindel in our office. She has been really leading the enrollment process. We have this, online computer system called 4-H Online that she's able to hold hands as needed for. Is it this one? There we go. So she's really able to help people. So if anyone has questions, if anybody's listening on the YouTube, they can call our office. And if we don't know, we can always find the answer as we're learning lots of the details as we go about the 4-H program. So,
Okay.
okay, I think that was it.
Call them
Yep.
up, get your kids involved.
Yeah. So,
And 4-H is for everybody. It's not just for
Right.
that, for the kids in the ag community. 4-H is actually for everybody. And I think a lot of people forget that. It's for everybody. It includes our entire county, the municipalities included. So
yeah.
just want to put that out there for anybody that's listening. It is for all kids.
A lot of times the encouragement to enroll early is so that the office can kind of build that capacity around finding leaders to teach certain projects, whether it be sewing, cake decorating, or small engines, or anything like that. We have a multitude of programs that 4-H can offer besides the livestock projects. And so with that, finding those leaders to help those kids out is kind of important on the front end to have a successful project come fair time.
Yeah, and you are right that, anyone in this county, living in Cortez, living out on acreage, any kiddo can find a project that they could really get involved in. So, and I'm sure our office can do a better job of communicating that. Extension can always do a better job at communicating all the different options that we
I think
have.
that's one of the biggest things for me that I see is that a lot of kids that live in the municipalities, they're like, well, we can't do anything like that because it's not really for us, and that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
There actually are a lot of programs that they can get involved with.
Well, just like you mentioned, shooting sports, archery, rocketry, leathercraft, woodworking. These people that live in these municipalities can get involved.
Yep.
I mean, you can even raise a few chickens, I think, in town.
Actually,
Yeah.
you can.
You can. I
can
think you
now.
have six
Yeah.
Yeah.
chickens.
And I think N4H is really a leadership program for kids who can learn to run a meeting, improve
Right.
their speaking skills, work together, do community service projects. So there's a lot of different parts about 4-H that are beyond, cows and canning is what it's traditionally been known as.
They used to have a pretty good dance squad from 4-H at one time.
Well, if you want to be that leader,
No, I'm
I'll...
not good at dance. I had a nephew that was really good.
So I think that's all I have, unless you all have any other questions for us.
I don't have any questions at all.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Good to meet
Appreciate
you.
it.
It was very nice to meet you guys,
Yeah.
and I hope to get to work with the county administrator as well. Hopefully not too much with the county attorney, but if we need to, that's okay.
Yeah, we'll keep it on a casual basis.
Sounds good.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, Mr. Higman with our vehicle maintenance. Good morning, sir.
Never seem to hit the deadline for to get stuff up on the board, so
That's all right.
we put that on that.
We don't know if Elmo works these days or not.
It doesn't work. Well, here's you guys' copy. Not a bid, so it can work. This is just kind of showing an overview of 2022, kind of what we did in the vehicle world, what we reserviced. All of that hasn't been sold yet, just the two, or the three Tahoes at the top, and then all the rest of them are still needing to be sold. And your purchased units there at the bottom. We have some fairly decent news on the patrol units. 6 of them finally hit in Denver, so those should be going to the upfitter here in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, good.
6 of the 10, and the other 4 should be within the next couple weeks here. So that's a start. I'd like to get all the rest of those vehicles sold by the end of December or beginning of January that are on the pending sell. And then we'll still have a lot more come the time when we get those F-150s. We'll start rolling out some of those Tahoes and Interceptors from the Sheriff's Department.
So middle of January, maybe?
Yeah, probably so.
I mean-
It's hard to fit in. It takes, whether you do it with Enterprise or you do it in-house, it just takes a bunch of time to get these things
Sure.
sold, so. And they're starting to stack up, and I'd really like to have everything in order to sell them all at one time, so I just commit the time at one chunk of time and get them all sold, and then once we get all the F-150s in, we'll commit another chunk of time to get all the Tahoes and Interceptors sold.
Okay. So we have 3 of these sold now, we're only looking at the rest of them
Yeah.
that we're working on right now.
Yep. The 2013 Tahoe sold. And I don't know, we'll have to decide on some of these whether we'll use Enterprise or just put them up public auction, because I talked to Andrew and he's said basically you have to have all your recalls caught up, and there's still some outstanding recalls on a few of them. And then it's a bunch of paperwork to sell through Enterprise, and he's said basically if they're not going to bring over $5,000, he wouldn't recommend selling them through Enterprise.
So we can still use Purple Wave, we can use
Yeah.
all of those other gov,
Public,
what is it?
public
Gov
surplus
deals, public
is
surplus,
usually who I
mean,
use. Yeah.
We can use any of those.
And then I'll try to put out some information to the general public that will say, basically these are up for auction, and if you wanted to do any surplus county vehicles, this is where you bid on them. So
You
maybe
might-
something on our
You might also
website.
call, I know public surplus is probably one of the bigger ones, but the Purple Wave was at our, and see if they're at CCI next week too, but you might talk to them.
It's just easy with public surplus because we're all set up and ready to roll.
Set up. Okay, yeah, either one is fine, it's all public.
Yeah, and then I'd like to put something on the county website, just kind of putting it out to all our county residents that these
Sure.
are being sold and you're welcome to bid on them.
Yep.
On this website. So,
On the pull vehicles that we have right now, the ones that, obviously the Suburban, the Impala, the Bolt, did you ever get that lockbox squared away over there at the assessor's office, so they're not having to deal with that?
I have a lockbox at IT, and they're supposed to be checking it out, getting it all taken care of, and then we'll get it mounted up over there. I do have one finished, and it's on Glenn's desk downstairs, so he's gonna do some testing and get everything programmed, and then we'll get it mounted over there. So it should be within the next couple weeks here.
So they don't have to deal with
Yeah.
checking out a key to somebody? Okay.
Yeah. And realistically, there's
Man,
all right. This one work?
Yep.
you talked so long you wore it out.
Yeah, I guess. The checkout process is all online, so like I was telling Leslie, we can just, there's really no need for them to check on any of the schedule or anything like that. If somebody comes and says they checked out the key, just give them the key and they can go. But the checkout box, or the key box, should be up in the next couple of weeks. It's been kind of a process. We had some bids on some kind of higher end lock boxes, but they were $10,000 a piece, and I just couldn't see justifying that for 2 keys. So I built one at the shop, and that's why we need to make sure that everything works on before we get it mounted.
Okay,
But it is in the process.
okay. Shortly.
What about Tuffy? Would they build you a lockbox?
I don't know. It's a good question. I took just a generic lockbox and put one of our readers from basically how you get in the doors here.
Yeah.
And it's all mounted on there. And if this system works, then it should be, the box itself is just a generic box you can buy online, and then I kind of retrofit it to accept a latch and the setup that we have here for the doors. So that the nice thing about that is we'll know the last person that got in the box at that point, because I can go to IT and you'll have to have a
Yeah.
county badge to get into the lockbox.
You know where to go get the key.
Yeah. And I kind of set it up to where there's a master key, so if something catastrophic happens, I can still get the keys out of the box. So, in my world, you always look for the failure that's gonna happen. It doesn't matter, it's gonna happen eventually. So,
So does this, with the vehicles that we're getting rid of that we've resurfaced, does that leave us still at basically zero?
I
or
think we've dropped, with the pool fleet, we should have dropped at least a couple of units this year, but we've also added the two detective units.
Detectives.
And then we'll add one, if we can ever get George Devers a vehicle, we'll have him a deputy vehicle, so that'll add one. So it's always, basically a goal would be to stay at zero where we're at now would be, there's always more demand for different departments and less demand on other departments, so. But we did drop quite a few this year. You can see we only, you can see how many is under the sold and pending, and then how many is under the purchase, so we definitely dropped a few there.
Okay. All right.
And the biggest goal is if people are using them and the departments actually need them, that's one thing, but these units that sit around that didn't get very many miles put on them, that's the biggest goal, is to figure out how to get more, share those vehicles and figure out how to get more mileage on the vehicles we have, because ultimately that means we could have more up-to-date fleet and not have as many
And
maintenance
stuff not
costs.
sitting around, because I was amazed when we saw this 1985 dump truck at the fairgrounds. I'm like, why is this even here?
Yeah.
And I think as we start looking around, we see a lot more of that there's no reason to be paying insurances on these. I mean, there's no,
When I took over my position at the road department, we kind of did the same thing. It's like some of that stuff just gets kind of overlooked on your daily routine. It's just kind of sitting off there to the side, but trying to clean up some of this old stuff that's just, it still costs money to be on insurance, and if you ever do use it, if it sits for 2 or 3 years, do you have to put batteries in it every time? And it just it doesn't make any sense to have that. So there's different ways of working around to make all that happen and not have to have all this stuff sitting around not being used.
okay. Questions, gentlemen?
No.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Shane.
Thank you.
Not 10 o'clock yet. I don't see any of the public lands. Were they going to zoom in today, or typically we try to get them on right at 10?
Nobody has reached out at all
Okay.
from public
All
lands?
right, well then, Dustin, we'll go ahead with you. We're not at 10 o'clock yet anyway, so.
Dustin, are you just needing the Excel document brought up? Because your file is pretty
If
extensive.
that's all that the commissioners need to see.
I think that was presented yesterday, so that's all that we need to see. We have your recommendations for the contracts that you recommend yesterday, which are now being displayed. And I'll go over those real quick or you want to go over them, Dustin?
You can go over them.
Okay. Well, the recommendations from our janitorial services for 2023 would be administration to Superior Services, Annex number 1 to Taylor Betts, Annex number 3 to Superior Services, the Montezuma County Combined Courts to Monica's Cleaning Services LLC, the Sheriff, MoCo Road and Bridge would go to CARE, all into the total amount of $174,369.96. We kind of discussed this yesterday. We had Dustin check everything out. Everything that he brought forward was proper and accredited, so basically we just have to make the decision today, gentlemen.
You everything, Gerald?
Do you know how much this cost us last year? How much has that gone up?
She just took my book away to to update it.
No, I was just wondering how much it is actually.
It's gone up, but
I want to say roughly 25,000?
yeah, that sounds about
I
right.
think that's about right.
But a lot of the products, I don't know. It's just like everything else. Everything has gone up significantly.
Yeah.
So that's what we have in front of us today after the bids have all come in.
Do you have any problem?
No, I would so move that we award the janitorial services to the named and outlined businesses on our graph here.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to award the 2023 janitorial services to the outlined graph that we have in front of us displayed at this point in time. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And then, go ahead.
Other than that, we're about done with that office for the appraisers, Annex 3, paint and trim and a few doors and coat base on the floor. Then we'll just have to get them moved down there. The cooler is running. The freezer is supposed to be done today or tomorrow. He was just calling me, so I'll call him back when we're done. We did our HVAC filter change at the sheriff's department. The rest of the buildings are scheduled for this week, so we'll get to going on that towards the end of this week, beginning of next week. We replaced the backup batteries in the gate for the combined courts in the secure parking area. And I have all the backup batteries for the card readers on order, so when they get here, we'll get them all changed out. And then we had all of our kitchen hoods inspected a week or two ago. So other than that, been kind of daily business.
Good. So I have a question for you. I actually spend quite a bit of time this weekend reviewing those drawings for the lower bathroom, and I know this may not be fair to you, but since you and Justin are working together on that lower bathroom, the only thing that it shows in there is we're bringing that up to 88, but it doesn't show anything else as far as the insulation, the HVAC, the electrical. Was that still in your guys' proposal to do that? Because when we had the conversation and with the Fair Board, that was our intent, is to create those to where they are workable and that they would be open year-round, and if not year-round, at least from, I think we said April till the end of October, or at least into November. So,
Well, what Justin discussed with me was mainly hard linen inside and probably redoing the plumbing and updating the lighting. If you want it insulated for winter use, the engineer's suggestion would be to stucco the outside of the building.
yeah.
That is,
So I guess we need to have a further conversation because none of that is depicted on the prints at all.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
it's just the bathroom.
It is
drawing.
just the bathroom, because if we do what is just on there right now, it's gonna look identical, other than the spaces are a little
Yeah,
wider
and
than what we
partition
currently
is-
have, and that was the complaint.
Right.
That we didn't,
Needs a ceiling, needs,
it needs the ceiling, it needs the insulation, it needs the electrical.
Yeah.
I mean, it needs to function as a
Right.
bathroom.
Okay.
and stucco on the outside for, a little bit of insulation. I mean, it's,
All right.
So.
yeah.
Because I don't believe that we really have the space inside to go in there and fur it out and
No.
add
Not
insulation
on the
that way.
inside.
So,
We could insulate the lid, but we could do this stucco on the outside, which was our original conversation that we had this summer when this first came up after the board, the Fair Board had presented it to us.
okay.
So looking at the prints and what our conversation was, we're not anywhere close.
Okay.
So I think we definitely get with Justin, we need to continue that conversation before we start.
Making plans.
Yeah.
All right. I will get with him.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Appreciate
day.
it. Okay, it is 10 o'clock, and I do see our public lands here, so I'm going to bring them up. I always try to get you guys in here right at 10 o'clock. Doug, sorry. So today we have with us the BLM and the Forest Service. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
I hope they work.
There you go.
There we go. So Ray O'Neill, Monument Manager, Canyons of the Ancients. I have a few updates for the monument that I'll give you in a couple of minutes, but the first thing that I wanted to do is to introduce Jim Michaels, who is our acting field manager for Tres Rios.
Hello, Jim Michaels. I'll be the acting field manager for Tres Rios for a little while here until they get the new position or until my temporary time expires.
How long is your temporary time?
A maximum of 120 days.
Okay, so then they obviously are trying to move quickly with a replacement.
They are, and that's part of my update.
Okay, great, great.
You want to go ahead with your?
I can go ahead with that. So they are, right now, the position for the field manager is anticipated to be announced after the holidays in January. Again, that's an anticipation. We'll see how it goes through the system there. Not sure on when it will close or anything like that, but that's when they're hoping to get it out on the street. The other thing is, you know, as you're probably all aware with the public outreach there, but the closure of the chutes and ladders, the Summit, Ridge, and Aqueduct recreational areas for winter game. And then Mud Springs parking area, where that's a portion of that's temporarily closed for hazmat reasons. We've got a contractor coming out here shortly to analyze the soil and see how we can dispose of that that hazardous material that's sitting out there. But really, that's all I know of in my short stint I've been here so far on what's going on in Montezuma County for the Tres Rios. That's it.
All right. Gosh, this is going to be easy. We've got 120 days then to really get something going
See
with
what I
you,
can
get
absorb.
things stirred up, really get going.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's it.
And I have a few things from Canyons of the Ancients. The first is exciting news. We've been talking about the Painted Hand project for several years, and the project is happening now. A contractor's out putting in a new road. The road is going to be a crowned gravel road, and it'll avoid the piece of private property that was an issue 2 or 3 years ago. The road has been graded. The new road's been graded. The contractor's putting in gravel as we speak. When the project's done, we'll have a new gravel road, new parking area, restroom, picnic shelter, and a new interpretive trail. And we anticipate all of that being done by next spring and plan on having a grand reopening next spring for the Painted Hand public site. And the area certainly looks a lot different than what it was before. As I'm sure you guys know, before it was a rough road. You needed a high clearance vehicle to go down. The parking area was some spots in the slick rock between the trees, and we'll now have a 20-spot parking area and the kind of facility that, you know, an average visitor in a passenger car can go and see. So we're very excited to finally be moving forward with that. At the center, we have a major floor rehabilitation project. The front of the center's been sinking. We've had concerns that one day we'd walk in the building and there'd be a significant crack. We're going to close the facility for the month of January and at least a portion of the month of February and prop up the floor from underneath. So big change there. We'll stabilize the floor so we don't have to worry about those concerns into the future. And when we reopen in February or March, we'll have a new special exhibit. Stan Engelhardt is a landscape painter, and we'll be displaying some of his paintings for our special exhibit for 2023.
Who'd you say that was?
Stanton Engelhardt.
Local?
Yeah, from the area. And we've had his paintings, I believe, a couple times before. Last time was about 5 or 6 years ago. And then my last update is simply that with the Yellow Jacket Flowdine grazing allotments, we're continuing to seek progress. We're continuing to move forward. Internally, we don't have anything big to report to you, but we're certainly continuing to look for ways to move forward to protect resources and still allow grazing to resume in those 2 allotments. That's all I have.
Okay. I'm going to go back to you then, Jim. I have a question for you since Ray brought up the conversation here about parking lots. A couple of meetings ago, we had a conversation of a parking lot over on the aqueduct, is that what we call it?
Mhm.
Over in Mancos. Is there a timeline for that parking lot that's gonna be upgraded over there? Because right now there really isn't a parking lot, it's just kind of a culvert that throws the people off the road, and there's not really a specific or delineated parking lot there. Do you have any?
I have nothing, but I'll look into it.
Okay. That way we can keep the people off of private property and keep them to where they're supposed to be.
And you said it was a couple months ago that you guys brought
No,
that
it
up?
was, gosh, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Probably.
And who did you have the discussion with?
We were upgrading a road map, and we had to label a road.
We were putting in a red sign road so that we had an address for those people off of that red sign road, and all the people were parking in their, that's still private property, that our red sign roads are. And people were parking in their road
To go up that
to go
trail,
up,
but
to
there's
get into
really
their
a
bikes to that trail.
parking lot, or I don't think the parking lot is built. I think it's
Okay.
just an area where they can park off of the county road, off of 39.
Yes.
County Road 39, you said? Okay. But I'm new, I haven't heard anything about that, so I'll look into it.
Look into it, yeah, because it'd be nice to be able to get those guys to where they really need to be. That way they stay off of that private drive and they can,
And who would I have them touch base with?
for the parking lot,
Yeah, who on your end, who would they coordinate with, visit with about it?
probably James
Rob.
Dietrich.
Well, James or Rob.
Get with James Dietrich first, and then if we have to do anything with Road and Bridge, then it'd be Rob Englehart.
Okay.
But James would be the first contact.
Okay, will do.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for reminding me.
How long's it been since there was grazing on Flodine and
The previous holder of the permits relinquished them about 15 years ago, and we didn't do anything with it for about 10 years. And we've picked the process back up over the last couple years, and I've talked to you guys about it a couple of times and told you that I'd hope that we would have more progress than what I'm able to report today, but my biggest report to you is that we're continuing to move forward. We certainly haven't dropped it.
Yeah, because when I was a commissioner here before, we were talking about this same thing. And that was 10 years ago, whether this was going to get reissued or not. So I think if we've wasted all these years just looking at those two deals and can't make a decision by now, I don't know that we're going to make one.
Or maybe the decision is made.
Yeah.
I can tell you the history from what I understand is that about 7 years ago, the BLM made the decision to issue the two grazing permits. And environmental groups appealed that decision to our state office, and we were told to look for a different process. The decision was remanded to us, and so we're trying to figure out a way to move forward that would be an example not just for these allotments, but for others in the area. And we've identified a new process that protects cultural resources, but also would allow grazing. And I know it's taken a long time, but we are pursuing that.
All right, thank you. Okay,
Hi, good
Derek.
morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
You all know me, Derek Padilla, District Ranger for the Dolores Ranger District. The Beaver Rim Pit, gravel pit, EA has been signed. We're putting together a contract right now in order to get the timber removed from the area, so then the county can get in there and start doing what they need to do to actually start extracting gravel from there. So hopefully by mid to late summer, it'll be available for that. We're hoping to get that, like I said, that contract out here soon, with the harvest occurring in spring, early summer. Next is we have been burning piles mostly in Dolores County. But with this storm that's coming through now, we're looking for opportunities here later in the week to hopefully have conditions that will facilitate burning out there. We have piles out in Chicken Creek, out in Hay Camp, just throughout out on the Glade. We got quite a few areas. We have about 1,500 acres of piles across the district that we need to take care of. So as conditions allow, we'll continue looking for those opportunities. We were able to get some stuff done up on Taylor Mesa. That was pretty successful. That was about 400 acres out of the 1,500, so I guess we only have about 1,100 acres left, and those burnt really well. Just wanted to also let you know that the Dolores Recreation Access EA hit the streets this last Wednesday. It's just a environmental assessment that's looking at a variety of different things. We're looking at analyzing some reroutes associated with the Boggy Draw trail system that could potentially be affected by vegetation management activities out there. There was concern that after treatment that trails would not be, to the same specifications that mountain bike and hiker users have been, gotten used to. So there was a request, to look at opportunities for reroutes, especially where a haul route was coincident with a trail, to see if we can move that trail off that haul route. Because those haul routes, will, theoretically, be available for use again in, 30 or 40 years, and to have to keep going back and doing different things just didn't make a whole lot of sense. So that's something that we'll be analyzing at this time with that project. We'll also be looking at, speaking of parking lots, within that EA, putting in some new parking lots. They'll be expanding the one at Boggy Draw. We're looking at putting a couple more along the Dolores Norwood Road, where you'll see already, the people are just pulling off the road and parking. Just make those more formal parking lots. And then also over on the Chicken Creek side, off the Chicken Creek Road, there at the big 90-degree, putting in a parking lot there in that area. That's another area, again, where we have a lot of people pulling off and parking. So that'll be looking at that. And then also be looking at putting in some bathroom facilities there at the Boggy Draw trailhead. We currently, utilize porta potties in that area. That's getting pretty expensive to do on an annual basis. And then just with the level of use that we're getting there at Boggy Draw, what we're currently providing is just barely meeting the need. So we just want to put something that's more permanent and also less maintenance intensive. And then we'll also be looking at putting something over at Transfer at the horse parking area, putting in a bathroom there as well. So that'll be looking at those areas and putting in bathroom facilities and the trail alignments, realignments, and then the last thing with that project is in the Boggy Draw off-highway vehicle system, looking at expanding those trails from a 50-inch width restriction to a 62-inch width restriction. We've just been getting a lot of input from our communities that people are buying side-by-sides and don't have a place to go ride them that are trails. So they would prefer to have some opportunity for trail riding versus road riding. So that's an area that we're looking at analyzing for that and expanding those trails to a 62-inch width. We do have some other 62-inch width opportunities, but they're further away up near Groundhog, and people don't want to drive that far to have to utilize their recreational vehicles. And then the last thing is just the Dolores Norwood Road. I just wanted to thank the commission for putting up signage there at Little Bean Canyon, letting people know that it can get icy there and to slow down. We did have an incident about a month ago where a truck jackknifed and I think a couple of accidents there all on the same day, it seemed like. Hopefully there again, that'll alleviate some of that. During that time, I got, a few calls from members of the community, asking, why is this even, a Forest Service road, that this should be, the county road. And, I explained, what we've discussed over the years and things like that. And then, so left it at that. But then also heard, that the county was looking at, possibly not even including the Dolores Norwood Road, at least the Forest Service section on the Schedule A agreement any longer. And I guess I just wanted to, hear from you all if that's accurate or if that's just rumor or.
Well, I can tell you that we haven't
That's news to
discussed
us.
that
Okay,
at all.
good.
So
Well, I am glad to hear
unless
that.
I was at a different meeting than you two were.
No,
We haven't even talked about that. I think there was some discussion that Rob made that as of November 1st, basically that is turned over to Kinder Morgan.
Mhm.
And he gave another date. There were two dates basically through the winter that our Schedule A agreement doesn't apply to that road at that point in time. And I think he said November 1st till,
I think of the 1st of May or something.
yeah, maybe the 1st of May. And that's a guess. Don't quote me on that.
Mhm.
But that then gets turned over. And I think there was some confusion of who had that portion at that point in time because, the contract had changed hands and then somebody
Right.
had passed away and nobody really knew what was going on, but there's never been a conversation with us as far as our Schedule A agreement on that road at all. Because my next question is gonna be to you, is part of this Title II project funding that's coming up for that Dolores Norwood Road, is that something which comes from the Forest Service? Is that something that you all obviously are giving to us to apply for that? Because coming down that road, obviously I drive it a lot.
Mhm.
From Little Bean Canyon for the next 2 miles, you better be driving like a drunk because you're gonna tear your vehicle completely apart. The potholes are that bad. So is that, not really looking at the funding source, and they don't really give an amount here, but is that a possibility? Do you think that would be, is that something that we can work together with to get that type of roadway fixed? That Title II funding, is that a potential?
It's a potential, with the Title II funding, basically that's money that, is a payment in lieu of taxes because, timber receipts and grazing receipts and, all the different receipts that the Forest Service, gets, have been greatly reduced, compared to the 70s, 80s, 90s. So due to that, they passed the Secure Rules Act, that then made up for that loss of revenue to counties. So there's 3 titles that counties can put funds into. There's Title I, Title II, and Title III. I believe Montezuma County puts 85% of it into Title I. That goes to roads, schools, public emergency departments, things of that sort. And I think the other 15% goes into the Title II section of the Secure Rules Act. And those are funds that have to be applied on National Forest System lands or access to, National Forest System lands in some way. But they're the county's dollars, and then, like I said, the county elects to put funds into that. On average, for the last 3 years, I think Montezuma County has gotten about $30,000, per year into those funds. So that's what kind of the drawback is. It's not a real big pot, to really
Right.
draw from, to address the needs there on the Dolores County Road, or I'm sorry, Dolores Norwood Road. We did this last year provide about, I think it was $19,000 or $20,000 to the county to do some
And that blade
pot
patching
spot,
is
yeah.
great,
Mhm.
great down below, but, I mean, it just didn't go far enough.
Right, right. You know, so that's something that, you know, either through Secure Rural Schools Title II funding, you know, we can look for, utilize some of that funding to do some more patch fixing there, you know, or just look internally again for some additional dollars to do some spot patching in areas that were missed last year. Because I agree, you know, I thought it was going to get it all, but it got to, like you're saying, there was just a small patch there, a couple of miles there that didn't get treated with that spot patching. So, but that's something that we can definitely work towards. And then we're also, you know, just looking at other opportunities as far as funding with the infrastructure dollars, and you know, there may be some opportunities there. So yeah, it's, you know, infrastructure money, but for the Forest Service, there wasn't a lot of actual infrastructure type projects that would qualify for any of the money that the Forest Service is getting, you know, roads, buildings, things of that sort. There wasn't a whole lot there for us, but we're trying to be creative of how to describe things to see if we can't be successful in getting some funds. And then if the county, if you all have any ideas, you know, we definitely want to do something with that road, and would work with the county to ensure that we get that up to, you know, a level that's going to be, you know, what people have been used to.
So then I'm gonna go back to parking lots, because you just said you're gonna upgrade 2 parking lots on, well, one was kind of on the Boggy Draw Road, so that's probably the biggest one, but, you know, going down the Dolores Norwood Road, you're probably talking about somewhere at the top of that hill where that trail crosses.
Correct.
I would imagine, because that's where you see all of the cars lined up. What kind of funding is there? I mean, what would it, and I don't even know what kind of a parking lot, but would it be, can you redirect those funds to the actual driving surface of the road and then make something more of a?
Yeah, when I say we're going to build parking lots, I mean, it's not going to be you know, they're not going to be asphalt paved.
No, right. There's just going to be a gravel.
A gravel.
Yeah.
You know, flat.
Just like what's there.
Yeah, I mean, so we're talking, you know, maybe $3,000 or $4,000, you know, $1,000.
Gotcha.
You know, for each parking lot. So I don't, there again, you know, I don't think it would be really advantageous, you know, unless we had 20 or 30 of them that we were wanting to put in. But, you know, with the few that we're putting in, it wouldn't buy us a whole lot.
Right.
And there again, we have been successful in, at least for the spot patching, identifying funds to be able to get that done at a minimum. But there again, we just need to do something more, you know, similar to what we did a few years ago with the, it just went out of my head as far as the treatment we put on there.
Chip seal.
Chip seal, there you go.
Yeah, we went from the upper cattle guard all the way to the county line.
Right. And that's holding up, you know, fairly well.
Mhm.
You know, so if we could do that back, you know, towards the county jurisdiction line there at Butler Corner, you know, I think that would buy us a lot. But it's just a matter of finding funding to be able to get that completed.
Okay.
Is there any chance for partnerships? I mean, with the state, if they have any reach up there, Division of Wildlife?
Well, we did about, how many years ago was that now? You know, did put in for some federal transportation highway funding, but actually at that time, all of Southwest Colorado didn't get any of that funding. It all went to the Front Range. And that's the last time we put in a big ticket item, and it was for the Dolores Norwood Road, and just weren't successful. And I think those are every 4 years or so. So I think this year we might have another opportunity. You know, so that's one of the areas that we're looking as far as, you know, potential funding.
Yeah, anything we can do to enhance that, we'd be glad to participate.
All right, we'll let you know. Yeah, we're actually going to meet internally here in the next, you know, month or so to, you know, talk about options to address the needs there on the Dolores Norwood Road. And yeah, we'll definitely include you all once we determine a final plan, you know, or strategy anyways, to see what we can do to get that road repaired.
Because we're building parking lots and widening trails, and all we're gonna do is add more traffic to that road.
Well, we're just trying to catch up. We're already behind, that's all. We're just trying to catch up with the need right now. But yeah, it will probably bring some more folks as well.
I can assure you they're not going very fast on that little 4-mile section. Because you can't bobbing and weaving like that.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
anyway.
I think they are, because I get calls every once in a while about somebody, I hit that pothole and you guys messed up my vehicle, so. It's not slowing down everybody, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, that'll never happen, but
Right.
I guess you look at the bigger population and percentage. Anyway, that's all I have. Thanks, there, Commissioner.
Well, I think, if you're gonna build parking lots and stuff, you better find a way to keep care of the roads getting to them. You're putting an impact on our roads also by doing that. You're increasing the traffic like crazy. If you don't have a plan for the roads going to them, it's not a very good plan, period, as far as I'm concerned. You leave those potholes that's in that Groundhog Road until spring, they're gonna be 3 times as big as they are right now. It's a mess. I don't know. I just think if you got money to build parking lots, you should fix the road first. But that's my opinion.
Anything else?
You
Yeah.
gotta
Try
have
and
a
get that
plan
road
for all
built.
of it, not
Try and
just
get
the
that road
parking lot.
fixed.
Yeah. Okay,
Nothing else?
okay. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, we're gonna go into unfinished, or I'm sorry.
We got
I
Doug.
gotta go back up to my first page, Doug, GIS. I almost forgot him.
Yeah, no. Good thing he's got an orange shirt on.
What I wear every month, so you can see me.
Is that so you're highly visible for a target, or
So
is
we
it
don't
highly
forget.
visible?
So we
Or?
can go install some more, red road signs when I go out.
Doug, do you need Station 2?
Yeah, I'm gonna boot this up in Station 2. Will I get this connected? Nolan, do you want, speaking of public lands, we did have a good meeting with Amela, she's the exhibit interpretive specialist in recreation up at N.M.P, and they were discussing installing some signage. We met with them and have a little bit of work as a result of that. Do you want to just talk briefly about what we're doing there?
Yeah, mainly we just discussed like what kind of trails and stuff we should view on a public website. We discussed like we shouldn't show and what's is culturally sensitive. I mean, it's good to have information on the map, but it's important to have sensitive information that's within the with our county and within our BLM authorities. So that way, like the ruins and some of the culturally artifacts are kept safe. And we're discussing that we should have like a system where, like a database where we should have like separate, so the public won't be able to see it. And because we're not familiar with some of the areas out there, but the BLM and N.M.P would be no specific locations of the spot, and I'm sure they would help us with discussing which they want displayed and which not displayed. And it's just an ongoing discussion with them, and we're still having meetings with them.
So do they have that on their websites also, the BLM?
Yeah, and that's kind of where that discussion went, because we got a call from Amela and said, hey, we use your map all the time. And that was a little bit surprising. We said that really shows some good information, and there might be some incorrect information out there, some information we need to sync up on. And that's Nolan then was taking some of their information and making sure that we have all the trails listed correctly. And then what we're discussing this morning is that we want to have links on our maps back to the official, both to the official managing agency of that information and back to the official maps that they have. So there's an easy way to go from our website, which is the only place that includes all of the trail systems, whether it's city, county, Forest Service, BLM, or N.M.P.M, back to the official managing agency, and kind of puts that back on them, so that as people are using our maps, they have those quick links back.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a really good thing that we're working on. And then looking at this further, we do need to move forward on the commissioner redistricting and formalizing that process, because reading the state statutes a little bit, what we need to do is choose the redistricting map that we want to put out there. Then we need to schedule a public hearing, and then 30 days after that, we need to then adopt a resolution. So it's going to essentially take at least 2 to 2.5 months to get this done, and it's been, we've been talking about it long enough. So what I'm going to present are 2 different proposals, formalized, essentially an alternate proposal here, and I guess the goal today would be to decide which proposal or which changes you would like to push forward, and then choose a date that we can then hold a public hearing and advertise that. So the first proposal, like we talked about, is essentially making little or no changes other than to move the District 1 line from N down to M, and that would get us, as far as the population numbers, when you're looking at it, that's what these maps are, and these are essentially the maps I'll be posting on the website. These are the population numbers for the different districts with these resulting boundaries. The statute, what the guideline is that the CCI kind of summarizes this, is that although the state statutes require commissioner districts to be as nearly equal in population as possible, no statute specifies exactly what that difference is. As a result, most counties use a maximum of 5% variation. That also applies to the state legislative district. So that's essentially what we're going to use. So in this proposal, the difference is 3.1%. We're also trying to follow logical boundaries. So this is what this proposal number 1 is. I'm going to go into an interactive map and just show you what these boundaries are. As you can see from this map, a portion of District number 3, which is kind of also known as the Mancos kind of districts. It's everything to the most everything to the south and east of Cortez. It includes portions of the golf course, Lakeside Lane, areas of Cortez Plaza, and then over kind of behind Big O, if you want to look at that. I don't know how those lines got developed. We didn't change very much when we did this 10 years ago. And so that condition essentially is why I have a second proposal, which is, and on this map, the red lines are the current commissioner district lines. Proposal number 2, almost exactly the same population numbers, really, within a handful of people. And this proposal is essentially, the city of Cortez is district number 2, period. With our populations, the county is 26,000 people. Cortez is, a little over 8,800 people. There's only a couple ways to do it. Either Cortez is one district, or you have other districts coming in and taking bites out of Cortez. So, this proposal, as I'm going to show you here in a second, also works to align as much to existing voter precincts as possible. As some people have pointed out, since we elect commissioners at large, why does this even matter? You know, and thinking about it as, you know, I think about it, it's kind of like a residency requirement that says, you know, this is essentially where the different areas of the county that the commissioners are going to reside in. And if they move to a different district during their term, that means they have to give up their seat. So it's kind of like a residency requirement, essentially. And then here are the numbers, and this is the document I can post on the website. So essentially, in this proposal number 1, if you look at the only, and these changes don't really affect anything, but I will point them out now. If you see this red line is the current commissioner district going up through here through the forest. This makes no effect on the actual population, but I do want to align this to what is essentially, I believe that's a school district and or fire district line there. So just for cleaning things up, we want to align that. Other than that, there is no substantive difference.
So that's all precinct 2, then that's Dolores basically is basic district, correct?
The precincts are the purple dotted line in here.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make them, we're trying to make them align to the precincts as much as possible.
Mhm.
For Kim's sake. And then if we look at the proposal number 2, and you'll notice in the current districts, we do have a split going down here on South 160, 491. It was split in half, and the boundary remains the tribal, the Ute Mountain Ute boundary as it did in the past. So I think that's something people are used to, is that the Ute Mountain Ute tribal boundary is the boundary. But then it cuts across Road G, and this is proposal number 2, cuts across Road G and includes that entire area. So really pretty clean looking. I mean, you're looking at everything north and west, everything south and east, and that's what makes that split. And you know, as you can see, these are the areas in here that are within the city of Cortez that are in district number 3. All those representing residences. It's so.
Questions?
No.
Comments? What's your recommendation? I mean, looking at the numbers, it's 3.1% either way we go.
Yes.
I mean, it makes it, in my mind, like you say up here, the easiest is just to consume County Road M and leave it alone. But the other one that makes more sense to me is to combine District 2 as the entire city.
Mm-hmm.
Which then it would be absolutely all just District 2. And it would service for the next 10 years. All right.
I don't know if you have any comments on that there, Kim. I mean, these, in this proposal also follows as much as possible. There's only one case up here. As much as possible, the precincts as well, which cleans things up a little bit.
So when we discussed it, both of the proposals are basically kind of a minimal of what we would be required to do. I personally like the clean of the city limits. I think that would be easier for us to follow in the future, but it's whatever you gentlemen want to do.
Yeah, that, from looking at it, that's the proposal I like the best, because it's all specific to the city of Cortez and their boundary right there. But I'll let you two guys speak to that, because then is all we have to propose is one of these changes, right? And then go through the process.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah,
the-
I mean, I certainly like that one as well. I don't know how that other line got developed, but there's a million different proposals you can have, but we want it to be logical for the voters as well.
And they're minimal changes for the precincts.
Yeah, and this does create a split. The way they're drawn through the city right now, no other voting district line follows that line. So that creates an additional unnecessary split.
Right. Well, that would be my, as far as giving direction to Doug to move on with the process. But I'll let you guys speak to what you like.
Doug, can you present both of them, like at the public hearing, and then let the people look at both of them? Or is there a way for us to see what the people think before? I'm just curious. I don't know. I've never done this part of it.
Actually, I think this one is left up to us, isn't it?
It's up to the commissioners. So, I mean,
I don't think there's anything that would legally prohibit presenting two and then having public hearings and then making a decision as to which one.
yeah, and people could argue.
I mean,
both
that
ways.
certainly would be one way to do it, and it would just be a matter of public noticing both proposals.
Okay.
I mean, I just didn't know. I've had several questions about this in the last year, when we were going to do it, what we had in mind, and I just wondered if people would have the opportunity to look at both proposals and give us some. I mean, even if we just did it through the website somehow. I don't know.
All the documents, like I say, I could just put these on the website and public notice it during, I guess, the normal public noticing process, and then you can just choose one, and then we would draft a resolution to adopt that one
One or
and
two.
one or two.
You know, I agree with that. I mean, let the folks choose which one's the best. I like the clean image of proposal number 2, but I also believe that a county commissioner should have part of the rural area.
Which was one of the comments that I received.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when we're looking at that, it's really not that part of a rural area. It's pretty populated in that area.
Yeah, portions of the golf course.
When I was commissioner before, one of the things I didn't brag on it, but I did not have a county road in my district. And this would go back to that.
Yeah, I was speaking with a person at GIS Specialties, been working on in the San Luis Valley, and when he started this, they would make the road district map the commissioner map. They wouldn't even pay attention to population. They would just adopt that, because that's what mattered to people, is if the roads were taken care of or not.
Right.
So.
Commissioner Copenhaver?
The only drawback I see to doing the city limits thing is it seems like the county itself is growing more outside the municipality over the last 25 years, 30 years, I would say, than it has in the municipality. So I wonder how long, in 10 years, I bet you we change it again, because there's not gonna be enough population in the city. There'll be more right around it. We'll have to change
And
it.
I think that's
Again,
why the
but I mean,
census is
at
done
this,
every 10
at this
years.
point in time, I mean, I guess I don't have any feeling either way as far as that goes myself.
And I
I
guess
can- I
that's
can
my
s-
point too, because we all serve.
Everybody.
You serve the county just as much
Right.
as I do, or Gerald does. I mean, we get calls from all different districts. You know, Mancos, Lewis, Pleasant View, we serve everything. So I think proposal number 2, just cleaning it up, makes the most logical sense to me. And when you look at the numbers, because that's what really matters to me, is that you keep those numbers the same. or as close to as possible, and right now you're at 3.1%. That's pretty close.
Yeah, yeah. And Kim and I had that discussion. Kim's impression, well, I thought the, District 1 area grew a lot more than the District 3 area. And so there's these impressions. And what we're seeing from the actual numbers is that all the areas of the counties is growing at a fairly steady pace, and they're all growing a little bit. It's not like one is really completely lagging behind. So there is growth in all of them. It's not like, one is just, so it's hard to say where the growth is going to be. Maybe more people will fill in some of those empty lots. Hopefully fill in some of those empty lots.
You have two
in the
other
city.
municipalities in District 1 and District 3 also that are growing, so it kind of offsets, I think, what you were saying for District 2, because they are growing. And those two municipalities, that growth is significant also, or enough to keep up 2 to 1. So the direction, gentlemen, that we need to give Doug, do you want to post them both then, and then we just post the public hearing, and then we pick it at that time?
Let's just post them both and see what we get.
Okay?
Yeah.
Put it on our website.
Okay. And then as far as the public hearing, can we, would January 10th work for that, to get that scheduled with planning?
Shouldn't be an issue from our standpoint. Looking at the calendars.
I don't see anything.
January 10th is fine by us.
Okay. We'll do it then.
Okay? All right, thank you, gentlemen. All right, now I'm going to unfinished business. Mr. Spratlin, we're going to talk about the conversation that we had yesterday for our generator grant and our commitment for that. I'll let you move it forward. So I'll let you do your little
Like quick spiel?
60-second presentation.
Yeah, if that, 30 seconds. So you already approved the commitment letter for the grant, and they wanted to add cents to it. This is the federal government adding cents
They
to
wanted
it,
to
so we
add
had to put pennies. Yeah. So we added pennies, and then based on all of that, we also found out that the M&A was available, which normally isn't because of Homeland Security grants. So we added in another $8,111, and out of that we have to pay, to get 7,000 some odd dollars, we have to pay $800. So that's the addition, and that new commitment letter is before you. And I recommend we sign it, and I can send that in. The grant's already been submitted, so we're within the time frame. But this is the addition and some of the changes that they required for FEMA. So hopefully this is the last one we have to do. I have not heard back from them, so that's all I got.
Okay, anything else, gentlemen?
No. Anything?
All right.
I move to sign this local share commitment letter for the Montezuma County Co-op Generator Project.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept and sign the local shared commitment letter for the Montezuma County and the co-op generator project. All those in favor, or in the total amount of $170,486.40. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Spratlin.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, Kim, you are up next.
So these are the two bid, did you say my name? Sorry. He was talking to me,
You-
apologize.
No, you're good.
These are the two quotes or agreements that have been presented to us, the clear ballot. They're the same as we showed or discussed with you yesterday. So I don't know what you want me to talk about.
Okay. No, that was just to bring those back up again. We basically are looking at two different proposals. One was for 5 years, and actually, I think they were both for 5 years, correct?
Correct.
So we had ClearGov and we had Dominion, is that correct, Kim?
Clear ballot
Or Clear Ballot?
and Dominion. The clear ballot agreement, Ian had some discussion over that one. I don't know if he wants to cover that again today or.
I'm not sure that we need to cover it again. I was just looking for the amounts. The Dominion was a 33,000 for the 6 years at 198, correct?
I don't have my other notes, but yes.
Well, I would, if I'm looking through these again, and then the other was the 47.5 per year, and that was for the 5 years. And the recommendation was to do the refresh.
The refresh from Dominion, which will refresh all of our equipment and take care of that Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Deletion, and that would be for another 6 years.
Correct.
So, any other questions, gentlemen?
No.
Questions?
I don't have any.
All right.
I would so move we pick up the Dominion refresh for our elections.
Second.
And so it's actually going to be
The second
Second
amendment
Second
Yep.
amendment.
to the voting system and managed services agreement by and between Dominion Voting Systems and Montezuma County.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the second amendment to the voting systems and management services agreement by and between Dominion Voting Services, Inc. and Montezuma County. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Yeah, we have. I sent it over.
All right. Next, we have a resolution for raising our fees at the Montezuma County landfill that was presented 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
From Mel Jarman, our meeting, we had him put those here, and it basically references the tires. So each residential car tire will be now at $3.50. If it's on the rim, it will be $12. Truck tires will be $20 off the rim and $40 on the rim, and that's basically what the fee increase will be at this point in time. Is there any further discussion on this, gentlemen?
No.
I don't have any.
Okay.
I move to approve resolution number 15-2022, a resolution increasing the tire fees at Montezuma County landfill.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept resolution number 15, 2022, a resolution increasing tire fees at the Montezuma County landfill. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next I'm going to turn this one over to you, Ian. This is a discussion as it was related to the Homes Fund request.
So, yeah, The quandary that we're in currently is we had approved the support for the homes fund. And then when we opened up the packet, I believe we was thinking it was a letter of support. Well, the packet is fairly thick, and in one section in that packet, it relates to a resolution of the commissioner signing a policy against excessive use of force. Well, under municipal aspects, that would be pertinent because cities oversee police departments, but we have an elected sheriff who oversees that. And so I got with Ian a little bit. I talked to Lisa at Homes Fund. The information I got from Lisa at Homes Fund was we're probably the only county that hasn't signed it. And I believe there was a similar one with the Calkins. Secondarily, if we don't sign it, there's not a whole lot of ramifications other than when they get audited, they might get their hands slapped. The third option would be that I could just write a letter saying that there's a policy in place under the sheriff's policy, citing the policy, and submit that.
So the resolution that Homes Fund presented to us was, quite frankly, a pretty funky resolution. What it was asking us to sign was something that said that Montezuma County has a policy against law enforcement agencies in its jurisdiction using excessive force. The tricky part about it is, for one, we have no control over Cortez Police. For two, the sheriff runs his own shop and he adopts policies. And so, when Travis and I saw that policy, it was sort of like one of those things where, you can't tell somebody to do something if you don't have any control over what they do. And my concern with adopting that sort of a policy is anytime you have a policy then like that, then there's always going to be an argument that, well, somehow we violated the policy, even if the violation may have been completely beyond our control. My recommendation is that we don't adopt that sort of policy. I think it's just word games. I think it's silly to say that we have a policy against somebody else doing something. I mean, it would be equivalent to me saying, Commissioner Candelaria, I'm going to make a policy against you driving over 60 miles an hour. Well, obviously, I can't control how you drive. And so, yeah, I can adopt a policy all day, but what does it mean? And so, my recommendation at this point would be that we don't sign that resolution. As far as the letter that Mr. Anderson discussed, that's really up to you guys. Ultimately, the sheriff's department has policies in place. We don't necessarily need to write a letter saying the sheriff's department has a policy in place. Those policies are available. Certainly, if that's something that you guys want to do, I don't see a huge drawback to it, but again, it may just be unnecessary. The policies, the sheriff has them. He's got policies in place.
So then we really don't need to do anything. We don't need to take any action on that at all.
Other than just the direction that you want to go, we have those three options, either the resolution, I can write the letter, or we can just submit the information to them as is without that information in the packet.
Well, it sounds like that's our option because our recommendation is to not sign the resolution, which I agree with. We don't create policies for the sheriff's department, so there's no reason for the letter. So we only have one option that we're looking at. Is that how you see that, Commissioner? Or?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we can't.
I'm telling the sheriff what to do.
The sheriff's in of itself.
He's an elected official.
Yep.
So I guess that would be the direction, Travis, is we have one option. Option one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the direction we will go.
All right. Okay, then next, we have a discussion regarding our John Deere leases. This went over, we discussed this yesterday. Rob, do you have that proposal? Can you bring it up? Basically, he wants to use, to spend $290,000 out of his capital outlay to purchase two of the 20-year 772 GP John Deere blades that we're taking off of lease, and then we're rolling the 2022 two new blades into a new lease, and then we can buy those out at the end of the 5 years for the amount of $171,855 each. Is that
Yeah,
pretty close?
pretty close.
So, anyway, we would be approving today $290,000, $145,000 apiece out of his capital outlay for the two John Deere 2020 blades. And they were low mileage. I think he said they were both under 1,500 hours. Anything else?
No. I would so approve that we we accept the John Deere 772 blade lease buyout plan in the amount of $290,000 out of the Road and Bridge Fund.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the John Deere 772 blade lease buyout plan in the amount of $290,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next, Commissioner Copenhaver, I'll let you lead on this one. We have basically the testimony, and it's a letter, or not necessarily a letter, but I'm going to turn this one over to you.
The NCA, do you want to do it?
I can, or if you want to, either way.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, so basically what's been presented to us is a draft of testimony that will be presented as part of to Congress as part of the NCA bill adoption. And so really what that testimony is it's testimony that will be presented on behalf of all the work group that was involved in the drafting of the NCA legislation. It really, what it details is the history of the NCA, why it came to be, and why the groups, including yourselves, supported the NCA. I looked through it. It's pretty consistent with everything that's in the NCA and the reasons that we went ahead and adopted it. You guys did submit a letter of support previously, and the draft testimony is in line with that. And so that's where we're at this point. I don't know if you have anything to add, Commissioner.
Well, I think that, this is when actually got into the committee back there, and Senator Bennett actually testified for it to get, now it's moving through. It'll move on in the Senate to get to the point where they're actually presentation of this bill. And so this is just a letter of support, basically, in the history for the testimony.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we need to,
I would just do a motion to support the draft testimony that's been presented.
Yeah. You want me to do it?
Go ahead.
I move that we support the NCA testimony as far as the National Conservation Area for the Lower Dolores River that's being presented through the Senate.
Second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the testimony draft for the NCA as it relates to the Lower Dolores River here in Montezuma County. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the discussion regarding the janitorial services has already been taken care of, which was displayed earlier. And now we have our secure transport licensing. We have our director, Ms. Locke, here, and Ian.
Yeah.
Morning.
Good morning, Bobby. All right, here we are. Go right ahead.
Okay. Do you want to start us off, Ian, or?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Okay.
And so what this is a resolution approving the policy that we've adopted, that we have proposed for the secure licensing of secure transport vehicles here in Montezuma County. Basically, legislation came down, and from here on out, counties are going to be responsible for licensing vehicles that provide secure transport for individuals in mental health crises. And so this resolution, what it is it just explains the legislation that's come down, and there's also a policy that goes along with this that will be adopted as part of this. There's quite a few different documents that will go along with this as part of the packet. there still may be a few tweaks to some of those. I know Ms. Locke did present one of those yesterday, so we can tweak some of the forms, but they've been completed for the most part, and so that's where we're at. We did last time we met on this, we did discuss fees and what those fees were going to be. Ms. Locke calculated her time, and what was developed was a fee schedule. Travis, I don't know if you want to pull that up. What it will be is it'll be $400 for each entity that's going to operate these vehicles, and that'll be a $400 fee. That license to operate these vehicles will last for 3 years, and then each individual vehicle that they use will need to be permitted. The permitting fee will be $100, and Bobby, I don't know if you want to go into how you develop that fee. I mean, it's really based on the time that health department
And it's a
anticipates they're going to
total
spend.
guess, because we haven't done this before, so we don't really know how much time it's going to take. So I'm kind of starting by just, when we ballparked numbers, and also looking at a like-sized county that is using the same guideline, we will absolutely track how much time it actually takes to do this, and we will revisit that again in the next go-around, like after a year. Because if it doesn't cost us $400 to provide a license, then we will lower that. But right now, that's kind of the ballpark when we did our calcs and compared it to like-sized counties. So, you know, we have to start somewhere, and I don't know how long it's gonna take. Right now, we don't have that many vehicles to do. I think we talked about that in our workshop, you know, what vehicles are actually gonna fall under this. But, you know.
Well, I think the
there's
key to
growth,
understand
too.
here, not to interrupt, but I think
No,
the key
no.
to understand here is that we looked at fees of equivalent sized counties too.
Right.
And these fees align with what other counties are charging. Again, this is kind of the first go round for every county across
Everybody.
Colorado. And so there's going to be some trial and error. I mean, obviously, some of the duties associated with these licensing applications are going to be delegated to third parties. There's going to be mechanical checks that are going to be done by shops and that sort of thing. But there is going to be time involved, and this seemed like a fair place to start, and this seemed like where a lot of other counties are starting as well.
And I think, you know, $100 for the permit each year, I think that's probably where it will stay. The licensing fee is the one that I'm not sure of, you know, but we're starting there, that's our starting point. And again, we will track it totally, like we track everything else, and adjust accordingly, you know, so. Yeah, and I'm glad you meant, you know, just the few little tweaks, we can talk about that afterwards. There was nothing major in any of the documents that, you know, there are a lot of documents. They obviously have to be posted to the website so people can get a hold of the documents. And then once they complete the documents and all the documents that they have to provide along with it, along with the mechanical inspection, then they'll make an appointment with us, and we'll sit down and we'll go over the whole package. And once the whole package is there, then it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ian, but then I would bring it to you all, and as the commission, and you would approve that, yes, they have they can get their license and their permits for their vehicles. So that's the process. I don't know if you have any questions about it.
Do we do this under a general meeting or under Board of Health, or?
I think it's under the
I think-
BOCC.
I think it's under
Mhm.
BOCC,
Yeah, yeah, we'd get on the agenda and present it to you all, and then you would decide if they get their license or not.
And I think
So,
There's only a few right now.
Yeah.
after the
Right.
workshop.
It's
not
basically
that
the
many.
CIP vehicle and Axis's vehicles where they transport. So at this point, those are the vehicles that we're intending on doing.
And I think the policy that'll be attached to the resolution as Exhibit A, I think it
Okay.
does a really good job of outlining the
Mhm.
process and what's going to be required of folks. And so, you know, hopefully we can get that posted and then get this thing rolling. The law says that we have to begin this January 1st.
Yeah.
2023. So right now, we're just looking at the cost for the fees. So,
Right, right. And we're going to make this so that I would be the one doing this actual role, but I'm also going to have, Laurel's going to know how to do it too, so that one of the two of us are always available to make those appointments so that we can meet the need. So, okay. Anything else for me?
I move we approve resolution number 2022-16-2022, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Montezuma County adopting the Montezuma County policies and procedures regarding secure transportation services.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt and sign resolution 2022, 2022, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, adopting the Montezuma County policy and procedures regarding secure transportation services. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Travis, our 2023 budget proposal.
So gentlemen, this morning you should have received the proposed budget. So this is just a notice of budget under Title 29 that we're submitting the budget to the county commissioners for ensuing year of 2023. The proposed budgets will be filed in the county administration office where it's open to public inspection. It will be reconsidered at a regular meeting on December 27th at 9 a.m. for approval, and interested electors can come take a look at it. It'll also be posted on our website, and we will public notice this in the newspaper.
All right, thank you. Okay, now we have moved into an executive session. Do you have that?
All right, gentlemen, I would move that we go into executive session for a conference with the attorney, this guy here, for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS Section 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses B.
And so the purpose of this legal or executive session will be for the purpose of receiving legal advice as it relates to the ongoing litigation on Road 41 in Mancos. Present in the executive session will be Kim Purcell, Commissioner Gerald Copenhaver, Commissioner James Candelaria, Commissioner Kent Lindsay, Ian McLaren, and Travis Anderson.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to move into executive session for a conference with the attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS Section 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses B. Included in that meeting will be our county clerk, Ms. Purcell, Commissioners Copenhaver, Candelaria, and Lindsay, along with Attorney McLaren and Administrator Anderson. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 You're live.
Motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to exit executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're going to continue now with our attorney's report.
I don't really have a lot to report this week. You know, our civil cases are pretty much holding steady. No updates there. It's just been a lot of day-to-day stuff, getting the secure licensing thing taken care of, and then just contract reviews and the things that come through the office on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you, Ian. James Dietrich did send us an email or a text. He has no report today. Travis, we'll go to you.
So this week's been a lot of working with Phaedra on end of year, beginning of year stuff, trying to close things out and getting things ready for the first of the year. Mill levies has been a big one. Reviewed some stuff on the water damage at the annex. Going to get with Dustin, probably a little bit over what our insurance covered applied towards the damage. So get with Dustin and see what we can do to take care of that. Met this week with United Way for 2 or 3 hours on services to children and trying to get everybody on the same page so that people know where the resources can be sought from. And then just mainly working with Lisa from Homes Fund, which we discussed earlier, and phone calls and emails from ACCA on the question that you gentlemen had on the department head appointments. And so I got some information that I can follow up with you later on that.
And I apologize, I just had one thing to add. I didn't look at my notes before I reported. We did have a jury trial last week in child protection. Our assistant county attorney, Stephen Tarnowski, handled that, and he did a great job and got a successful verdict from the jury on that case. So good job to him, and now the department will be able to maintain jurisdiction over those children and keep them in protective custody. And so I thought he did a great job with that, and so that's, yeah.
All right, very good. Okay, to my left this morning, Commissioner Copenhaver.
I don't have much to report this. I've got a Southwest Water meeting tomorrow, so it'll be most of the day in Durango. This last week has been busy doing other stuff, but haven't had a lot of calls or anything here last week or so. It's been quiet.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Commissioner
about the
Liddy.
same report. It's kind of quiet, but I would like to pass along my congratulations to the Realtors Association and especially to Terry McKay for a heck of a parade. I think that was the biggest one I've seen in downtown Cortez yet. So congratulations to you all and the participants. You did a wonderful job. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would also echo that. I didn't get to watch it live, but I watched it on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
And it was a very good parade. I don't have a lot either. It's been somewhat quiet, getting ready, I guess, for Christmas and the holidays. But I did have a meeting on Thursday. We had a STAC committee meeting, and we're going to have a committee, our TPR meeting on Thursday, as I'm getting ready to go to Thursday. But as it pertained to our TAP funding, and I don't have that acronym in front of me right now, but how they wanted to basically take that away from the TPRs, where nobody was going to be serving on that committee. That was a pretty heated discussion. And we were not going to have a January meeting for the STAC, but now that'll be the only agenda item on our STAC for transportation as it relates to the TAP funding. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of conversation this coming meeting Thursday in Durango. So Commissioner Copenhaver, you get to be over there tomorrow, and I'll be over there all day Thursday. And again, like I said, the meeting was great. I do thank our fairgrounds for keeping things neat and tidy out at the services for Friday that we had out there for our county employee. And with that,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
been moved and seconded to adjourn this December 6th meeting, 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.